Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the first lecture of ECA 1. I will be starting from mesh analysis, section 3.4. We have studied previously nodal analysis, so we'll see there's another important and powerful analysis techniques. This is called mesh analysis. This depends on mesh currents. So let's start. So first of all, we will define that what is a mesh. A mesh is a loop which does not contain any other loops within it. So just like we have already defined what are meshes, loops, nodes, and branches or elements of the circuit. So a mesh is a special loop that does not contain another loop within it. Let's see what does a mesh look like in a circuit. So this is a circuit. There are at least three possible loops in this circuit. First one is actually from A to B to E, F, and then again A. Another is B to C to D to E and B again. One possible loop is also A to B, C, D, E, F, and A again. So you can see there are three possible loops here. So if we look that how many meshes are present there are two meshes. This actually mesh starting from any point, let's say A to B, E to F, and again A. Similarly B to C to D, E, and B. So you can see these meshes do not overlap each other. There's one branch common in between, so this could be possible, but loops should not contain another loop. So there are two possible meshes in here. So how we'll be applying mesh analysis for circuits? So there are certain steps we can follow. So let's first of all list the steps that we should follow. First one is assign mesh currents to the meshes. So if there are n meshes, so assign n currents in meshes starting from mesh number 1, 2, and so on. You can label any mesh as number 1 and any mesh as number 2, and so on. So you can see number of meshes that determine number of unknown currents. So the number of unknown currents will ultimately determine number of simultaneous equations. Next we will apply KVL in each mesh. So just like we'll see how many elements are connected in a certain mesh, so we'll apply KVL in each mesh, and then we'll write down and simplify the equation. Similarly, we do apply KVL to second mesh, third mesh, and so on. So we'll obtain n simultaneous equations in variables I1 up to In. Third part, obviously this is the solution. We have n equations now, so we can easily solve the resulting equations simultaneously. So after solving the equations, we can find the mesh currents. So to obtain branch currents or voltages across certain element, we can easily relate mesh currents to branch currents. We'll see this in the examples. So let's see example. Example 3.5, find the branch currents I1, I2, and I3. Before starting, we want to mention here that we will see first of all such circuits that does not contain any kind of voltage source. In fact, any kind of current source. So we'll be considering only circuits that will contain constant voltage sources, that is constant batteries. Next section we'll be studying a circuit that contain current sources. So we'll see how we'll be handling such circuits. So let's see the circuit. And this is a circuit. It has different elements, and there are active energy sources that are batteries only. 15-volt battery present, 10-volt batteries present here, and you can see that there are two meshes, just like we can start from this point, can come to this point, then this point, and this point, and again this point. So there's only there's one mesh here, there's another mesh here, so there are two meshes. So this means that we'll be needing two simultaneous equations. Obviously there are two unknown variables, I1 and I2. Remember, these are mesh currents, these are not the branch currents. So let's see the solution. Here are obviously two meshes in the circuit. So let's suppose that I1 and I2 be the mesh currents. We can label any current, IX, IY, IA, IB, or whatever. So these are simply labels for the mesh currents. So let's suppose that current in mesh number 1 is I1 and current in mesh number 2 is I2. So in next part we will apply KVL in mesh number 1. So before applying KVL, remember that what does KVL state? KVL says that algebraic sum of the voltages across each element in a mesh should be 0. Remember, algebraic sum means voltage or potential difference with sign. We'll be using voltage drop across resistance as always positive. And about battery, so we will be using the convention that when traveling a loop, whenever we encounter first polarity of the battery, so we'll take that sign in the equation. So starting from mesh number 1, we can see that there are actually 4 elements connected in the mesh number 1. That is 15 volt battery, 5 ohm resistance, 10 ohm resistance, 10 volt battery. So these are 4 elements. So we can start from any point. We'll be traveling the mesh and we'll come again at the same point. So it means that we'll be needing 4 voltages because there are 4 elements. So let's start writing down the equation. We are starting from this point when we'll be going to clockwise direction. Another important point is that mesh current that we are assuming should be in same direction. That is, if you are using I1 in clockwise direction, I2 should be also assumed in the clockwise direction. If you are using I1 in anti-clockwise direction, assume I2 also in anti-clockwise direction, and also all the other currents. So in this circuit we are assuming that I1 and I2 are flowing in clockwise direction. So starting from this point, when we'll be traveling in clockwise direction, we'll encounter actually 15 volt battery. So you can see this is actually battery. So first polarity is negative, so we'll take negative sign, and voltages across the batteries are 15, so minus 15. Again, why minus? Because of first polarity. So minus 15. Then we'll actually go through this path. We'll remember, touch each element. So we'll come at 5 ohm resistance. So you can see this is actually 5 ohm resistance. Voltage across this resistance could be written as using Ohm's law, that is V is equal to IR, and because this is a resistance element, so voltage across this resistance will be taken as voltage drop, so positive sign, and voltage drop will be 5 multiplied by I1 because only I1 current is flowing in 5 ohm resistance. So plus 5 I1, then we'll come at this point, so we're coming downward to 10 ohm resistance. Remember, clockwise direction. When we encounter 10 ohm resistance, we can see that 10 ohm resistance is in common with mesh number 1 and mesh number 2, and we are writing down equation for mesh number 1. So In this case, current of mesh number 1, that is I1, is flowing downward, but also another current, that is I2, is flowing in upward direction, totally against the direction of I1. So current in 10 ohm resistance will be as seen from mesh number 1. This is I1 minus I2. So voltage across 10 ohm resistance will be, according to Ohm's law, V is equal to I into R, that is 10 multiplied by I1 minus I2. Okay, next हम लोग जो ना वो will be handling 10 volt battery. So when we are encountering a 10 volt battery, you can see that first polarity that we are encountering here is plus, so that is why this is plus 10. And obviously next time, you know, again we are coming back to the same point from where we started traveling the mesh. So we in fact, you know, we have touched all the elements. So this is the algebraic sum of the voltages in the loop, and obviously according to KVL that should be equal to 0. So this is how we actually write down the equation for mesh currents. Again, you can see there are two important observations for the resistance to be kept in mind. That resistance could be independent in a loop or mesh, and resistance could be common in between two meshes, just like 5 ohm resistance is independent, and you know, in fact, you know, it is present only in mesh number 1, but 10 ohm resistance is shared in between I1 and I2, or it is common between mesh number 1 and mesh number 2. So that's why voltage across 5 ohm resistance will be 5 multiplied by I1 only, because only I1 current is flowing through this resistance. But because 10 ohm resistance is common in between mesh number 1 and mesh number 2, and we are writing the equation for mesh number 1, so current in this resistance as seen from mesh number 1 will be I1 minus I2. So voltage will be 10 I1 minus I2. About the batteries, again remember, for time being we are considering the case of the voltage sources only. We are not considering the current sources. So in this case there are only constant voltage sources present. So how will we actually, you know, handling the polarities of the batteries? Whenever we are traveling the loop, so we'll consider the first polarity encountered. So that's why we will be using that polarity as a sign in the equation. So when we started from this point, we encountered negative polarity, so that's why this was minus 15. But when we actually, you know, encounter 10 volt batteries source, we actually, you know, encountered positive polarity first, so that's why this is actually, you know, plus 10. So next will be simplifying this equation. We can collect the coefficients for the unknowns, that is I1 and I2. So 5I1 plus 10I1, this will be 15I1, and then minus 10I2 minus 15 plus 10 will be minus 5. We can transfer that minus 5 to other side of the right hand side, so this should be equal to 5. So this is the equation number 1. Again you can see, because there are two unknowns, so we must have two simultaneous equations, two linear equations in I1 and I2 to have a unique solution. So to find the second equation, we'll consider second loop or second mesh. So before considering second equation, we can see that actually there are 1, 2, 3, 4 actually elements present in the second mesh. 3 of those 4 elements are the resistances, and 1 is the battery source. So just like we mentioned the steps in first mesh equation, we can apply those methods and techniques here also. So we will be applying KVL in mesh number 2. Again you can see since there are 4 elements, so we'll be needing 4 voltages. So sum of the algebraic sum of the voltages around a loop should be 0. So we can start from any point again, remember, and again because we are actually traveling clockwise, in clockwise direction, so we should actually touch elements one by one in clockwise direction. So we have started from this point. We encountered 10 volt battery source, and because this is a battery source, so we know already that its voltages are 10 volts, so we'll reading only its first polarity that we have encountered, that is negative, so this is minus 10. Next there is 10 ohm resistance, and you can see again that 10 ohm resistance is common resistance in between mesh number 2 and mesh number 1. And important point is that now because we are writing down the equation for mesh number 2, so that means that in this case, if we see direction of current I2, it is upward, and direction of current I1 is downward or opposite to I2. So relative to mesh number 2, current in 10 ohm resistance is I2 minus I1. Relative to mesh number 1, current direction, in fact current equation will be I1 minus I2. So voltage across 10 ohm resistance will be resistance multiplied by current, V is equal to IR according to Ohm's law. So we know that resistance is 10, current will be I2 minus I1. So this is 10 I2 minus I1. This is the voltage across 10 ohm resistance. Next, again we'll be actually traveling in the clockwise direction. From this point we'll be traveling right side from left to right, so we'll be encountering 6 ohm resistance. So you can see 6 ohm resistance is not common, it is only connected to mesh number 2, so it means that in 6 ohm resistance there will be only one current, that is I2. So voltage across 6 ohm resistance will be V is equal to IR. Again we have to use Ohm's law, that in this case this will be 6 multiplied by I2. Then from this element we can go downward clockwise direction, remember. So we'll encounter 4 ohm resistance. Again 4 ohm resistance is not common to any other mesh, this is only connected to mesh number 2. So current in this, in fact voltage across 4 ohm resistance will be V is equal to IR, I is actually I2, and resistance is 4. So plus 4 I2 is equal to 0. So this will be the equation for mesh number 2. Again we can now easily simplify this equation. We have to collect the coefficients for I1 and I2. So 10 multiplied by minus I1, this will be minus 10 I1, 10 I2 plus 6 I2 plus 4 I2, this will be 20 I2 minus 10. We can transfer this minus 10 to other side of the equation, equal sign, so that should be equal 10. So this will be the equation, that is minus 10 I1 plus 20 I2 is equal 10. So this is equation number 2, and this is equation number 1. So now we have 2 equations. So now we can easily solve these 2 equations simultaneously. Solution is up to you students. So how you can solve, there are so many methods. We already discussed this method, that how you can use calculator. So you can use the calculator or Cramer's rule, elimination method, Gauss-Jordan, Gauss elimination, any kind of method. So we don't want to go in mathematical detail. Obviously this is a simple exercise for you. So anyway, solution for these 2 equations is I1 is 1 ampere and I2 is equal 1 ampere. So we have found actually mesh currents, that is mesh current for mesh number 1 is 1 ampere, and mesh current for in fact mesh number 2 is also 1 ampere. So looking back to the problem was that we want to find the branch currents I1, I2 and I3. So if we want to find capital I1, you can see that capital I1 is the current in 5 ohm resistance, and 5 ohm in current in 5 ohm resistance is actually small I1. So we can say that capital I1 is I1 and this is again 1 ampere. Similarly, for finding I2, we can see that capital I2 is current in 6 ohm resistance, and again already we have described that current in 6 ohm resistance. If we see this, actually, current in this is 6 ohm resistance is connected in mesh number 2. So mesh number 2 current is I2. So that's why I2 will be equal to small I2, and that is 1 ampere. Similarly, for I3, you can see that I3 is actually current in 10 ohm resistance. Actually, I left this for your exercise if you can guess, but just let's continue. So I3 is actually current in 10 ohm resistance, and again we have already described that current in 10 ohm resistance is I2 minus I1 or I1 minus I2. If we are looking in with relative to I1 mesh, current will be I1 minus I2. If you are looking relative to mesh number 2, so this will be I2 minus I1. Numerically current will be same, obviously sign will be changed. So in this case I3 will be equal to I2 minus I1. This is actually 1 ampere minus 1 ampere, that will be 0. So current in 10 ohm resistance is 0. So let's see another example. We want to determine I0 and current in 2k ohm resistance. Actually 2k ohm resistance is this resistance that is connected across these 2 points. This is, you can identify, this is actually bridge circuit. So we want to find the current in bridge resistance. So let's start. Before starting, again we have to identify that how many meshes are present in this circuit. You can see that there are 3 meshes. That is, if we start from this point, we can go to this point, this point, this point, and this point, and come back to again this point. So this is one mesh. So we have assumed that in mesh current in this mesh is I1. Similarly, another mesh is present that we can consider from this point to this point, this point, and this point. So let's suppose current is I2. Again we have assumed that I1 and I2, I3 are actually clockwise direction currents. Similarly, I3 is actually current flowing in mesh number 3, that is starting from this point to this point, this point, and this point. So there are 3 different non-overlapping meshes. So we need actually 3 equations. So how we can construct the equations? We can apply KVL in each mesh. Remember, okay, because this again circuit that contains only one DC battery, so we can easily apply KVL. There is no problem in this. So let's start applying KVL in mesh number 1. We have started from this point. Again you can see, okay, there are 4 elements in mesh number 1. That is 30 volt battery, 2 kilo ohm resistance, 6 kilo ohm resistance, and 4 kilo ohm resistance. So we will be needing 4 voltages. So KVL says that algebraic sum of the voltage sources should be 0. So starting from this point, we have encountered a constant voltage battery. So first polarity is negative, so minus 30. We already know that voltage across this battery are 30 volts, so we don't need to apply Ohm's law here. So minus 30. Next we have encountered 2 kilo ohm resistance. So you can see that 2 kilo ohm resistance is not common between mesh number 1 and any other mesh. So in this resistance only I1 will be flowing. So voltage will be V is equal to IR, that is I1 multiplied by 2K, that is 2000 I1, plus again from this point we will be coming in this direction, so we'll be actually touching 6 kilo ohm resistance. 6 kilo ohm resistance is common between I1 and I2, so current in 6 kilo ohm resistance related to I1 mesh will be I1 minus I2. So this will be 6000 I1 minus I2. This is the actually voltage across 6 kilo ohm resistance. Similarly, from this point onward, we'll encounter 4 kilo ohm resistance. So this voltage across 4 kilo ohm resistance will be 4000 multiplied by I1 minus I3. Next, we can actually collect the coefficients for I1, I2 and I3. Coefficient for I1 is 2000, 6000 and 4000. This is 12,000. Coefficient for I2 is minus 6000. Coefficient for I3 is minus 4000, and minus 30 can be transferred to the right side of the equation. So this should be equal to 30. So we have actually constructed equation number 1. So equation now we constructing equation number 2. We'll apply KVL in mesh number 2. So you can see there are 3 elements in the mesh number 2, so we'll be needing 3 voltages. So anyway, again KVL says that algebraic sum of the voltages across a loop is 0. So let's apply KVL. So we have actually started from this point. We'll be encountering 6 kilo ohm resistance. So actually I guess we have started from this point. We have encountered 6 kilo ohm resistance. Again remember, we'll be traveling clockwise direction, this point to this point, then this point and this point. So this 6 kilo ohm resistance is common in between I1 and I2 mesh. So because we are writing down equation for mesh number 2, so I2 is current is flowing in this direction, and I1 is flowing in opposite to I2. So that's why voltage across on this 6 kilo ohm resistance will be resistance, that is 6K multiplied by current is I2 minus I1. So next we'll encounter we have encountered 6 kilo ohm resistance. So this 6 kilo ohm resistance is not common between I2 and any other loop, so only I2 current flows. So voltage developed across 6 ohm resistance will be 6000 multiplied by I2. Next we will encounter 2 kilo ohm resistance. So this 2 kilo ohm resistance is common between second and third mesh. So current as seen from mesh number 2 will be I2 minus I3. So voltage across 2 kilo ohm resistance will be 2000 I2 minus I3. And obviously again we have come back to same point where we started. So we have traveled all the loops, so this should be equal to 0. So you can just see that actually we have collected 3 voltages here. So again we can collect the coefficients for I1, I2 and I3. Coefficient for I1 will be minus 6000, coefficient for I2 will be 6000 plus 6000 plus 2000, that will be 14,000 I2, and coefficient for I3 will be minus 2000 I3, that should be equal 0. This is equation number 2. So next we'll apply KVL in mesh number 3. Again there are 3 elements. 2 are common in between, actually mesh number 1 is common in between mesh number 3 and 2, and 4 kilo ohm resistance is common between I3 and I1, and this 4K is actually not common with any loop. So let's say start from 4000 resistance, that is we are starting from this point clockwise direction, we are going in clockwise direction. So we have encountered 4 kilo ohm resistance. So voltage across 4 kilo ohm resistance will be 4000, that is 4K multiplied by I3 minus I1. Then from this point we'll be again using going in clockwise direction. So 2 kilo ohm resistance, that is 2000 I3 minus I2, because as seen from mesh number 3, current in 2 kilo ohm resistance will be I3 minus I2. and finally voltage across 4 ohm resistance is 4000 multiplied by I3, that should be equal to 0. So again we can easily collect the terms starting from coefficients of I1 has coefficient of 4 minus 4000, and then coefficient for I2 this minus 2000, and coefficient for I3 is 4000 plus 2000 plus 4000, that is 10,000. I3, that should be equal to 0. So now we have 3 equations, so we can easily solve these 3 equations. Again, solution is up to you. How you solve Cramer's rule, you can use calculator or Gauss elimination method or so on. So after solving equation 1, 2 and 3 simultaneously, we get I1 is 4.28 milliampere, I2 is equal to 2.14 milliampere, and I3 is equal to 2.14 milliamperes. So actually problem was that we want to determine I0, and you can see that I0 is current in 2 kilo ohm resistance. So we can see that actually 2 kilo ohm resistance is only connected to mesh number 1, and in mesh number 1 current is mesh current is I1. So this means that I0 is actually equal to I1. So we can say that I0 is equal to I1, and this is 4.28 milliampere, and current in 2 kilo ohm resistance, that is bridge resistance, is actually if you see from I2 mesh, this will be I2 minus I3. So this is current in 2 kilo ohm resistance is I2 minus I3. So if we substitute the values values of I2 and I3, I2 is at 2.14 and I3 is also 2.14. so 2.14 minus 2.14 will be 0. So this is the end of lecture number 1. In next lecture we will see some more examples. Thank you.